Hey guys, welcome back to Billy Ray Garage. Today's video we're going to be installing, boom, Mishimoto oil cooler. So there's a lot of stuff you got to take off in order to get this thing in. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. If we want improved cooling, we got to do it. So you're going to be reusing some old hardware, you're going to be replacing some things with new hardware and old hardware, mix. The headlights we just put in, they got, well, at least the driver's side has to come out, I know that. So yeah, I got the car jacked up in the driveway, kind of happened in the garage because it's kind of hot out and it's closer to the tools. So let's just get out there and start doing it. Alright guys, first thing we're going to do is take the bumper off now. On this side and this side there are two Phillips head screws to remove the bumper. And there's three up top, and then there's a couple clips just around the side that you gotta get. I'll put a description up here somewhere of how to do that. And you also have to unplug the lights from this side of the vehicle. I will show you as soon as I get it unplugged. So this little plug, you just unplug it, goes to here, connects everything to the bumper, the side marker lights, the fog lights, and all that fun stuff. Now we can just throw the bumper somewhere. It's going right in the grass. Alright guys, now I'm going to take this little styrofoam bumper pad off. I'm pretty sure you can just lift it off by pulling up on these little tabs, but I hit a deer. So mine's broken. So I'm just going to cut the tape and put that aside. Okay, now underneath, got these little tabs here. We got one here, one on the other side. It's for this diverter. Now, you're not taking this off. You're just taking that off so you can pull the crash bar here. So let me pull these two out. Probably just use a flathead, pop it out, or if you have a tool, whatever. But nice and easy. One. These little shits fought hard. So be patient, make it happen. Alright guys, now we got the air diverter disconnected here and here. Time to remove the crash bar. Now there's 6 bolts, or actually 6 nuts. You can see the stud right there. I took that one off. And then there's 2 on this side. There's one there and one right there. Disconnect your horn, which is just a little pull tab. Pull up on it, pulls off. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to loosen these bolts and this will come off. Those 6 nuts are also a 13 millimeter. Alright guys, you know those beautiful halo lights that I put on? Well, this side has to come out, which is unfortunate, so you have to unplug the lights and, well, that light, and get it out of the way. Now, unfortunately for me, my halos are tied in. I should have probably done this when I was installing the halo lights, but foreshadowing, didn't think of it. I'm just going to take that light and flop it up top with what little extra wire that I have, and on this light, this corner right here, you're just taking that one screw out for that light. So that one could stay in, but just this one little 10 millimeter screw is going to back out, and you have to completely remove this one. And for me, I'm just going to flop it up top. Alright guys, now you gotta take this power steering support bracket for the cooler. You gotta take this one off. Phillips head screw. That looks like an itty bitty. That might be an 8 millimeter. And then another Phillips head screw down there. Actually, yeah, that is an 8 millimeter. So you gotta take that off. Alright guys, I think there's 2 ways you could do this. You could either do an oil change like I'm about to do and just drain all the oil and take the filter off and the sandwich plate adapter, because we gotta get to this guy right here, that little 10mm nut, and then there's one on the other side. We got to pull that plate off. Now I think my oil pressure sensor is going to be in the way, so I may have to relocate that to like over here, but let me take this out and I'll figure it out from there. Alright guys, just pulled the plug. Got a little bit of metal on there. It's probably from friggin' shit flowing around from the new parts, but get yourself one of these little magnetic oil drain plugs. It comes in handy. I'm gonna go wipe it off, put it back in, then I'm gonna pull the filter. Alright guys, we are on to putting the brackets on the oil cooler itself. So to start with these things facing up. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this small bracket, boop, boop, the two holes facing you, and install the hardware. You're going to use two of these little nut and bolt combos, and they're both 10mm, and we're going to mount that right there real quick. So I'm going to leave these slightly loose just so I have some wiggle room if I need to move it in a way, because I have a feeling that this thing's not going to fit perfectly if I tighten it down. So I'm going to leave it a little loose. When we throw it on, then I'll cinch it down. Alright, now caddy corner from this one, we're going to go over to here. I'm going to use this little tall bracket. It's going to sit just like that. Same thing, two 10mm bolts and nuts. And I'm going to cinch it down and just make it just loose. Alright, so we got a little wiggle room there. That should work out nicely. Alright guys, in the last bracket, straight down from that little guy at the bottom, that's actually the bottom, and this is the top, and across from this guy. Same thing, two bolts right there, and you want it sticking up and out towards the middle. Okay, just enough wiggle room on that, just in case we gotta move it around for final installation, which I think we just might go to right now. Alright guys, we're gonna put the oil cooler in, so as you can tell maybe, when this thing goes in, you're gonna have the headlight hole go here, which I may actually stick in now. I don't know if it's beneficial to start this guy yet. Alright, good thing I left these loose. So yeah, you have one hole for the headlight here. You have another hole for the cooler bracket that you gotta stick back in, which I may do right now. So let's get this guy in, see how this works. So yeah, we got the oil cooler bracket back in. You're gonna get the screw for the top, which is a Phillips head screw. You're gonna boop that in there. And then you're gonna take your headlight bolt and put it in there. Start with the headlight bolt since it's most conveniently located. Alright, so that's hanging out for dear life. We get the screw for that. Move this up here, underneath. Let's get the screw through there. Let's get this guy started. Alright, so that's in. Snug that up. I'll put the bottom screw back in since I don't want to forget about it. And let's not forget our 8mm guy. Stick you in there. Put you back in. Tighten up our 10mm for the headlight. Alright guys, then we got one more 10mm nut and bolt. We're going to come in here so we can sneak this up and in. So that's through there. Let's see if we can get this around here to tighten it up. So a smidge. Not a lot of room back here, but we're going to make it happen. You know, bend this out. There we go. That fits more gooder. Alright, so that's nice and snug, it's not making contact. And now we got it in, we'll tighten all these little bastards down here. Alright, we are in. We are nice and snug. This thing's not going anywhere. It's a little flimsy, but not too bad. It's mostly because of this power steering cooler. But that's okay. Now, gotta add a couple other little things real quick. Alright guys, we got these little anti-chafing strips that we gotta put on. One goes right here. Put that right there. Keep that in place. And I'm not sure where this next one goes just yet. It might be here. I don't know. Let me see where this lines up and then figure out where to put it. It might go there. Let me get back to that one later. Alright guys, now I'm going to put on the thermostat. Now as you could tell right there, that says to cooler. This says from cooler on this side. And I put a piece of tape over the side that is to the cooler so I don't mix them up, because you want this going a certain way. To take this little bracket off, because you gotta insert another bracket on, you need a 5mm Allen head, stick it in there. We're gonna take this off and put on the hardware to the mounting bracket. Alright guys, slight problem. Mishimoto has fitment issues. As you can see, the hole, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Let me see if I get a light on. So that hole does not line up entirely because the bolt heads are hitting. That is a problem. So I'm going to see if I can find smaller bolts, because the ones from the kit suck dick. This one doesn't fit either. This one doesn't line up. So let me modify that real quick. See if I got any little bolts that I could use that are skinnier. Or you could just grind these heads down. Whatever you want to do. I got smaller bolts. I'm going to use them. Alright guys, luckily I had some 1/4-inch hardware laying around. These were a little tight threading it in, but once you started it with a wrench it went. So this is the setup I got. Hopefully it works. Check your shit, Mishimoto. Check your shit. Alright, the part that says from cooler to cooler, that's going to face down towards the shorter end. This is the long end, short end. There we go. Slide that in. Alright, there we go. Now we got some clearance. Tiny little bit of clearance, but good enough. So we'll take our little 5mm Allen head, we'll stick you back in, and we'll tighten you up in a minute. Other guy in the bottom, or top, whatever side this is. And then just give this a little, yeah, you don't have to go crazy, just snug it up, and snug it up. There we go, we're in, cool. Okay guys, now we're going to install the hoses, the hose, where my hose at. You're going to have two hoses. One's going to be a short guy, which is this guy, and a long guy, which is this guy. And they have 90-degree turns on either end. These go to the oil cooler itself. I believe these are 1 inch. Let me double check. Yeah, these are 1 inch fittings, so get yourself a 1 inch wrench, and I will show you what to do now. Okay, so you're going to take your short guy that's closest to the center of the car. You're going to put that in right here. Don't strip it. Whatever you do, do not strip it. Got that started. Alright, got that started. Take your 1 inch wrench and just start turning. Okay, now we get this long guy. Get that screwed back here, so we get this over here and get this guy started. Okay, that's snug. Now let's polish these off, just make them nice and snug. Go like right there. Alright, so we put our little anti-chafing little grommet on here, and now we can put our crash bar back on. Alright guys, gonna put the crash bar back on, and hopefully that's not brutal. Let's see what we got. Let's get this set. Alright, so right now the passenger side, you can hook the horn back up and put the inner bolt in, and on the driver's side you're only putting the inner bolt in. You're not doing anything with the outer two yet. The outer two nuts, I should say. And then we'll put our horn back.
Was it a success?
Alright guys, one last thing we gotta do underneath is there's a 13mm bolt there and a bolt there, and it goes to this little bracket that has power steering lines on it and a wiring harness. This goes to the alternator. So you gotta loosen those bolts. Like I said, those are 13mm up there, and we're gonna replace it with this bracket, which we're gonna use the same 13mm bolts in these small holes, and then the kit gives you these two right here. Those are 12mm. Those are going to go inside of these tall boys. So let's knock this out real quick and get that relocated. Alright guys, we got our 13mm bolts out of the way. Right there's a 10mm nut, and then there's another one on the other side. There's like a little cap that goes on here. We're going to pull that off. Hopefully it's not messy. I have a feeling there might be oil in there, so let's see what we got. Let's see if we go this way. Alright, that thing's pretty loose. See if we get this side. Alright, I got one of those little 10mm guys off. Let's see if I get the other one blindly. And then pull this guy out. A little gasket. Alright, there we go. Got that little bitch off. So we're going to discard this. We're not going to use the hardware. We got new shit in the kit. And just make sure you clean this off the best you can. As well as this. Wipe this off. Alright, I think I'm good with that. Alright guys, we're going to put this little block on. It's going to go on just like this. So when it goes on, this thicker part will be on the top and the smaller side will be on the bottom like that. So let's see if we can wiggle this guy on. Wiring harness in the way. Alright, so try and get that on there. Alright, there we go. That other block's gonna be tough to get on. So anyway, you get new hardware. I believe these are 10mm. Don't crush them because this is aluminum. You don't want to beat the shit out of it. Get this guy on. Get that snug all the way down by hand if I can. Alright, we'll try and tighten this guy on if we can. That's snug. Alright, I like it. Alright guys, gonna put the block in. Now the whole point of this thing is to get the oil from the in and the out, get it to the front of the car. You have two O-rings there, oil them up. So the studs where those 10mm bolts went, they're gonna feed right through here, and it's gonna go in just like this into that block. And then, you know, these stupid little friggin' 8mm bolts are long as shit, and it looks like there's a lot of stuff in the way, so this should be interesting. Alright guys, so I was able to turn the positive on the alternator a little bit to get a little room in there, but still it was tight as shit. I couldn't record it. I was all over the place, and I was saying a lot of bad words. Those little brass screws, you can't really see it. Yeah, brass screw right there, and the one up top, not an 8mm, is a 5/16. So if you get one of these, that would help greatly. Okay, thank God that's over. Alright, let me start figuring out how to get these lines from here to the front and hook up the thermostat. Alright guys, we're going to put that little bracket up here first. I forgot to do that. To relocate these lines. So it's going to go up just like this. These tall parts are going to be shooting up, and the bow is going to be going towards the back of the car. So this little cutout is going towards the back of the car. So let's see if we get this figured out. I'm going to start with these 12mm bolts first. Get them out of the way. So the 12 millimeter ones are the ones that come with the kit. Alright, just gonna get that snug for now. And then we're gonna try and get these 13 millimeter friggin' assholes in. Alright guys, this round part right here, straight, I was able to take this threaded part out with the hex head. By the way, this is an 1/16". But I was able to stick a 13 millimeter in here, like so, and then take the 1-inch wrench and just hold it and crank her down. Okay, good enough. Okay, so now, when this goes on, you're gonna stick the threaded part with a washer through here, and you're gonna stick the other washer on the top part here. So it's gonna sandwich right in between. And this is going to the inside of that adapter that goes to the oil filter. So let's slap this in real quick and hopefully it's not too bad. All right, so the way we're gonna try and struggle this is go over the sway bar. You go over the power steering line and pull it down between the coolant tank line and the radiator line. Hopefully we don't fuck this up. Yeah, get over here. There we go. Okay, cool. And route that this way. I don't see that being an issue at all at some point. All right, stick this up here. So as you can see, we went over the power steering line between these two radiator hoses. And then we're gonna try and get in there. It's gonna go right there to the end. There's an 1/16". Get that started by hand first, because that would be ideal. Oh my god, thank god I got it. Nice tight. Alright, let's see how this other bitch is. Alright guys, got this little J-hook guy. It comes with this little piece right here and an or washer, I should say. So, I mean, I guess there's two ways to do this, but I'm going to stick this up in here first in the out port because there's not a lot of room in there. So I want to try and tighten it while it's in there, and then I could tighten it the rest of the way. So we got that. Try and take our 1-inch wrench in there somehow. Take our 1-inch and hopefully snug this thing down. Alright, hopefully that's the way it goes. I put it over the power steering line, up over the top there, and around to here. I don't know if that's where it's supposed to be, but we're gonna figure it out. I do not like it sitting on the radiator hose like that. That is friggin' sketch. But we'll play with it. Let's go throw the thermostat on. Alright guys, I installed the thermostat in. Just two 13mm bolts on the crash bar. The horn is getting relocated over to here, so we're not going to worry about that this second. Also, the tape, I put it on the two cooler side. That's going to come in the bottom, so that's going to be this line, and I put blue tape on it. So on the out on that block, this is the out on that block. And we're going to try and get it up in here somehow. And we're going to take this little strip and I'm going to put it right here because this looks like it's where it's going to rub. Alright guys, now you're supposed to take the longer line from the radiator or the cooling line or the cooler itself and put it to this side. So hopefully this mosquito would die. Bitch. Let's see if we can get this bad boy on here. And we're going to snug this guy up while we have the room. And then the other line just going to go right here. Alright, we'll snug this guy up while we got it on. Alright guys, good thing I double checked my work. I swapped these two lines by accident. I was just double checking, making sure these two have to get swapped. So the one with the blue tape, I marked it wrong. This is that one with the friggin' J hook on it. That one's supposed to go here, and this one's supposed to go here. So let me fix that. Double check, I'm human. The blue tape's here. The line I have marked with the blue tape was supposed to go here, but I marked it wrong. So the one that's not marked is now going to where the blue tape isn't. I hope I don't confuse you on that, because I just confused myself. Let's see if we get a little slack on that guy. Finally, cinch this guy down since nothing's in the way. Alright, now let's see if we get this other guy in somehow. Alright, thermostat's in. Like I said, I marked this one with blue tape wrong. It was supposed to be this one. So if you're watching this, make sure you mark the right one. Alright guys, one of the last things we gotta do before we obviously put oil in it is relocate the horn. It is a 13mm bolt. The back is kind of welded on, so that's not gonna come off, just the bolt. Now, it's pretty hard, so I'm using an impact gun, so wrong way. There we go. So now we are left with that and the bolt, and the kit comes with a new nut for it. So let's go over to the car and put it on. Something more like that. That should work better. So as you can see, the horn is now inside that bracket because the fog light was hitting it when it was out here. So there are no directions with this kit. I'm just trying to figure it out. All right, let's fire this bad boy up. I put oil in, oil filters on, relocated the oil pressure gauge, and I started off with 5 quarts of oil. It says that this thing will take 6, but start it up, let the car run, let it get up to temperature, check the oil, and then add oil as needed. Wish me luck. Alright guys, inside the vehicle, the oil pressure gauge, when I started it, it started really low. Probably because you have the oil lines that needed to get oil through them, so it dropped the pressure a little bit. And my oil warning light came on. It came on for like 3 seconds, and then that gauge spiked. So what's gonna happen here is, apparently the kit, it lowers the oil pressure a little bit. So if you have maybe like a 5-7 pound pressure difference, apparently when this line opens up, it drops the oil pressure a little bit. So no big deal, but at least I have a gauge for it now, so that's good. Well, I've had a gauge for it, but for this application, you want it. So let's go outside the car and I'll show you some stuff. Okay, so the reason why you want this thing to get up to temperature is this is a 165-degree thermostat. Now, when it reaches 165 degrees, obviously it's going to open up and oil is going to flow through. So that's why you need to add more oil. Hey guys, we got no leaks, but I don't know if you can see, but that little metal tab is hitting against the harmonic balancer. So that is part of this bracket that we had to put in. So just make sure you get that fixed and don't have it sitting on the harmonic balancer. So I'm going to loosen that up. It's just 2 13mm bolts, and I'll try and reorganize it a little bit, see if we can get that to work. Because it was making a horrible screeching sound, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, is my oil pump failing? Like, what's going on? Yeah, it was that. So let me fix that real quick, and then we will start it up again. But it appears that there are no leaks, so we're doing good. Alright guys, let's see if we can start this thing up without a terrible sound coming from underneath. Should be a lot better. better. No depth screech going on. That's good. And let me show you something over here. As you can see, the oil pressure is sitting a little lower. It's at 40 pounds. Normally it's at like 45, 47. So that's going to be part of this install. You're going to have a little lower oil pressure. The check engine light keeps coming on for friggin' misfire or something, but I don't know. I'm going to check the spark plugs a little later, see if there's anything wrong with them, but it seems like we're trending in the right direction. I did get a Tech 2 scanner to try and bleed the brakes, and that is falling short. So, yeah. I'm gonna put the bumper back on and all that good shit. You saw that in previous videos. If you haven't, check it out. Well, I was about to put the bumper back on, but skies decided to open up. Enjoy the rain delay. Alright guys, that about does it for the oil cooler install. No leaks, no nothing, just had that one little crazy sound that was coming from that little plate hitting the harmonic balancer. No big deal, loosened it a little bit, pushed it in with a screwdriver, and also just had a little mishap with the horn on this side. Put it on the wrong side, flipped it around, bumper went on nicely. And we have our kidney back in. Woohoo! So everything looks good. Yeah, just be careful putting those lines on because they do like to try and cross thread. So once you get it going, it just goes by finger all the way until it bottoms out, and then obviously put a little crank on it. Don't go too crazy on it. What else was a bitch? Oh, putting on that friggin' adapter plate onto the side of the oil filter housing. Like, it says 8mm screws that you just crank down, but I ended up going with a 5/16, so that actually worked out better. Yeah, there's these two little, well, they're long, kind of brass-looking screws that go into the side. But yeah, other than that and feeding the lines through, like, everything else is pretty easy. So hopefully this video helps you out in case you want to do this yourself. It's not a terrible thing to do, or couldn't really hurt having an oil cooler. Like I said, it did drop the oil pressure down a little bit. Like when you would start it up, it'd be at like 55, 60, and then after it warmed up, it'd be about 45, 47 range, and now it's a little bit lower. It's about 41, 42. So you're going to lose a few PSI on that, which is not terrible. But as long as you have oil pressure, that is good. I will give you a brief update on the brake situation. So, new master cylinder is still in, still not functioning. I have a couple options. You either take that out and put the original back in, because I kind of had brakes when I had the original. I don't know if this one's Australian, that maybe the sensor plug. This little guy here is different than ours because it doesn't seem to plug in all the way. Also, I may send out the ABS module to get rebuilt because I cannot figure this out. I actually got a Tech 2 scan tool, and it actually let me get up to the ABS to actually try and pump it, but once I hit pump, it just said ABS malfunction, failure, fault, whatever it said. There's a place in Kansas or Missouri, I think, Kansas City, somewhere in that range. I think it's called cheapabs.com. I may send it out to there to see if maybe it's something electronic in there. It's worth a shot, couldn't hurt. It's like $100 or $120. But I'm running out of options here for the brakes. I'm getting fluid to all the wheels. It's just there's little to no pressure even getting there. Oh well, let's end on a happy note. Me leaving. Haha. Yeah, it's hot as shit. I'm freaking sweating. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, you know the deal. And I will see you in the next one, which God knows what that will be now because I have nothing to put out right now. So it may be a delay for a few weeks, but I'll keep you posted. Take care, guys. Out.
That's what she said.